If you ever wake up and see a snowman outside your window that you didn't build, don't look at the face. If you've already looked at the face, don't look again. And if you've looked more than once, if you've checked it the way you keep checking a notification you wish you'd never opened, I'm sorry, that's where I am. I'm sitting on the floor of my living room, knees pulled up, fingers numb even though the radiator is hissing and the cheap Christmas lights around the window are doing their lazy flicker. Outside, the snowman is exactly where he was when I went to bed. Closer. I'm recording this because I don't think I'm going to make it to New Year's. And I have this stupid, human hope that if I get it all out, if I line it up in words from the beginning to now, it'll make sense. Or at least someone will know that I didn't just have an episode. I saw it coming. Literally. Okay, start at the beginning. I'm not a Christmas person. That sounds like a personality trait people put in dating bios, like hates small talk or into true crime. But I mean it more clinically than that. December is not good for me. Too much pressure to be happy. Too many memories of Christmases that went sideways. Drunk arguments under twinkle lights. People promising new starts they never meant to keep. By this year, I'd streamlined it. Fake tree that never left the box. One string of dollar store lights around the living room window. No travel. No family. No office parties. Just me, my little apartment at the edge of the city, and a carefully curated routine designed to get me through the month with minimal emotional damage. Then it snowed. You know the kind of snow that feels like a movie set? Big, slow flakes, light catching them in halos under the street lamps. The city went quiet. Cars moved more carefully. People actually looked up from their phones. I watched from my window like it was happening in another country. It was a Thursday night, first proper snow of December. Kids in my building tumbled outside with plastic sleds and oven mitts on their hands. Someone dragged a Bluetooth speaker out and played tinny Christmas music. I watched 3 different families attempt 3 different snowmen. The snow wasn't right yet. Too powdery. Their lopsided creations fell apart as soon as they tried to stack the middle section. The kids went back inside eventually. The Bluetooth speaker went quiet. The parking lot looked like someone had shaken powdered sugar over trash cans and old sedans. I went to bed around midnight. When I woke up, there was a snowman. Not in the yard. Not halfway down the street. Right outside my bedroom window. Close enough that if I opened it and leaned out, I could have touched the top of its head. For a while, I just stared at the ceiling, trying to figure out what felt wrong. You know that early morning awareness where your body notices something before your mind does? My brain did a slow boot while my skin prickled. Then I rolled over. White. Not just snow on the fire escape or frosting the brick wall across the way. A shape, right in the center of the glass. I flinched so hard I headbutted the wall. The snowman filled almost the entire lower half of my window. 3 sections. Classic style. Big base, smaller middle, smaller head. Done with care. Not the haphazard shove and pack of bored kids. The snow was smooth, compact, almost polished. It was the face that froze me. No stones, no carrot nose, none of that. Just 2 deep hollows where eyes should be, and a long, shallow groove where a mouth would go, like someone had dragged their thumb in a straight line. If you'd asked me in that moment why it was so disturbing, I'd have said it was because it wasn't finished. Like someone had started to give it features and changed their mind halfway through. Later, I realized that wasn't it at all. There was something about the proportions, the way the head tilted, just a fraction, the invisible line of where its gaze would be if there were eyes. It was looking straight at my bed. You want the rational explanation? I had it ready. Someone in the building had a sense of humor. Kids, bored teenagers, whatever. They'd seen my lights in the window, maybe my shadow moving behind the blinds, and decided it would be funny to build a snowman right up against the glass for the first floor hermit. Haha, very funny. I get it. Seasonal jump scare. I stared at it for a long time. Then I did the normal adult thing. I got up, went to the bathroom, brushed my teeth, checked my phone, pretended my heart wasn't beating too fast. When I came back into the bedroom, I told myself I would not look. My eyes went straight to the window anyway. The snowman hadn't moved. Of course it hadn't moved. It's snow. It doesn't move. But the groove where the mouth had been, it was deeper, just by a hair. Just enough that if I hadn't stared at it earlier, I could have told myself I was imagining things. It looked less like a line and more like it was thinking about smiling. I blinked hard. My eyes watered. When you stare at anything white for too long, your vision does weird things. Shadows flicker, edges float. I told myself that. I told myself it was an optical illusion. The angle, the changing light. The snow had probably settled a bit. That was all. It was looking straight at my bed. "I'm losing it," I said aloud, just to hear my own voice. Sound bounced oddly in the room. Dull, like the snow outside had muffled everything. It made the apartment feel smaller, like the walls had crept in during the night. I got dressed in record time. Work was a blessing. Fluorescent lights, emails, people asking about deadlines instead of my mental health. I pretended not to see the Winterfest flyers everywhere. I ate a candy cane someone left on my desk and tasted menthol and dust. Every time my mind tried to wander back to the snowman, I dragged it away like you drag a dog from something it shouldn't sniff. By the time I got home, it was full dark. The instant I stepped into the apartment, my stomach dropped. You know how you can feel someone in a room even before you see them? It was like that, but from outside, a presence on the other side of the glass. I dumped my bag, toe-kicked my shoes off, and stood in the hallway for a full minute, rehearsing the moment I'd walk into the bedroom. It's going to be gone. The sun came out, it melted. Someone knocked it over. Kids messed with it. Whatever, it's gone. I turned the corner. The snowman was still there, closer. The base was pressed right up against the outer wall now. Snow crusted slightly where it met the brick, like it had slumped. The middle section bulged more at an angle, as if the whole thing had leaned forward. The head was tilted just a little further. Those hollow eyes, those not eyes, were pointed not just at the bed now, but a little lower, at about the height of my head if I sat up. The line of the mouth had curved. Not much. Not some big cartoon grin. Just the faintest upward crook at one corner, like it had found something mildly, privately amusing. Maybe you're thinking, okay, someone's messing with you. That's where my head went too. The most likely explanation, except for one thing, no footprints. I went to the window and pushed the curtain aside. My breath fogged the glass. Outside, the little strip of ground between my building and the fence was a smooth white sheet. No boot marks, no drag marks from someone pushing the snowman closer. Just one seamless, untouched surface, except where the snowman sat like it had grown there. I followed the fence line with my eyes, checking, counting the windows. No other snowmen, no other weird sculptures, just mine. Mine. I slept on the couch that night. Sleep is generous. I lay there scrolling through my phone, volume off, letting other people's lives pour over me in an endless feed. Couples ice skating, families around trees, influencers doing cozy winter night routine videos with hot chocolate and candles and skincare. Every so often, my eyes drifted to the dark rectangle of the hallway. I could see the faint outline of the bedroom door. The idea of walking in there, of pulling up the blinds and finding that white shape just on the other side of the glass, it made my skin crawl in a way I didn't have good words for. You want to know when I should have left? That night, not because anything dramatic happened, but because that was the last moment this was a weird, explainable prank and not whatever it is now. I convinced myself in the morning that I was being ridiculous. Sleep deprivation does weird things, I told myself. You spooked yourself. You're projecting. It's just snow. I went to the bedroom like someone opening an exam result. The snowman was still there. I don't know how else to describe it except that it looked more like me. The tilt of the head was exactly the angle I knew from mirror selfies, from catching my reflection unexpectedly in windows. The slope of the shoulders, the slight lean to one side, it matched the way I stand when I'm thinking. Weight on one foot. The groove of the mouth had deepened into a definite curve now, an asymmetrical half smile. My half smile, not the one I put on for photos, the one my face makes when I'm being polite but want to leave. I laughed. It came out wrong. Too high, too thin. Okay, I said. Okay, that's funny. Very funny. Whoever you are. My voice shook. I unlatched the window just enough to feel the edge of outside air, sharp and dry. The snowman was so close, I could have reached out and touched it, run my fingers over that too smooth snow. I didn't. You got me, I said weakly. Merry Christmas. Ha ha. The snowman did not react. Of course it didn't. It's snow. I slammed the window shut and told myself I was going to be an adult about this. No spiraling, no making it bigger than it was. By the time I got to work, I almost had myself convinced. Almost. That's the thing about fear. It sits behind everything else, like a second skin. I answered emails. I sat through a meeting about Q4 numbers. I made coffee in the break room. And under all of it was the knowledge that there was a shape pressed up against my window at home, learning the lines of my life. It noticed when I got home late. I swear it did. The next evening, I stayed for drinks after work, not because I wanted to, but because I didn't want to go back to the apartment while it was still fully dark outside. I nursed one beer so long it went warm. My coworkers laughed too loud at nothing. Someone put a Santa hat on the office plant. By the time I finally trudged back through the snow, my toes numb, it was close to midnight. The apartment was silent. I dropped my keys in the bowl, shrugged off my coat, and stood there listening. Nothing. I crept down the hall, heart pounding in my throat. Every sound magnified the whisper of fabric, the click of the light switch, the faint creak of the floorboards. I flicked on the bedroom light. The snowman filled the window. Not closer. Not physically. It hadn't broken the glass or anything. But the face. It was my face. Not perfectly. Not like a mold. But the lines were all there. Softened. Translated into snow. The slight bump of my nose. The shape of my cheeks. The curve of my jaw. The eyes were still hollows, but now there were faint ridges above them. Suggestions of brows drawn in the same frustrated tilt I see when I look in the bathroom mirror and think, God, you look tired. The mouth had settled into a full, lopsided smile. My smile. It looked happy to see me. I made a sound. I don't know what kind. Not quite a word. Adrenaline lit up every nerve in my body. Fight, flight, freeze. My brain couldn't pick one. For a second, I just stood there, staring at this snow version of my own face, gazing in at my empty bed. Empty, like it had been checking, watching. Something in me cracked. I grabbed the nearest thing that could serve as a weapon, a cheap metal floor lamp, and yanked the plug from the wall. The room plunged into shadow for half a second before the hallway light filled it in, thin and yellow. Okay, I said, voice too loud. Enough. I yanked the bedroom window up, shoving through the stiff seal of paint and old wood, and lunged the lamp forward. The cold outside hit me like a slap. I jammed the lamp straight into the snowman's chest. Snow gave way with a dull crunch. White exploded across the narrow strip of ground outside, collapsing in chunks. The carefully stacked sections tumbled, fractured. The face shattered. The smile disappeared. By the time I was done, it was just a heap of snow, a vaguely man-shaped mound broken into formlessness. My arms shook. My breath plumed in ragged bursts. See? I panted. To no one. See, it's fine. It's nothing. I left the window cracked a fraction too long. By the time I wrestled it shut again, my fingers burned. I dropped the bent lamp in the corner, chest heaving. Snow, that's all. Just frozen water. I slept in the bedroom that night. I don't know why. Maybe some stubborn part of me wanted to prove I wasn't afraid. I woke up at 3:12 a.m. No sound, no nightmare, no obvious reason. Just sudden, absolute awake. The room was dim, lit only by the thin grayish band of light that cities always seem to have, even at night, the kind that sneaks around curtains, the glow of street lamps and far-off signs. I stared at the ceiling. A line of colder air crawled over my face, very, very slowly. I turned my head toward the window. The snowman was back, not fully, not yet. The base was there, a dome of snow where there had been flat ground hours before. The middle section was half-formed, like someone had rolled it up and then stopped to rest. The top where the head would be was just a suggestion, a lump, but the tilt of it, the angle, it was already leaning toward the glass, toward me. There were no footprints, no marks in the snow except the faint scars of my earlier violence and the new, smooth curves of its rebuilding. I lay there, muscles locked, watching my breath mist in the faint air leak around the window frame. The rational part of my brain, the very tiny, very distant rational part, whispered something about snow slumping, about gravity, about how packed snow can shift and refreeze, about how I couldn't actually see the ground directly beneath the window from this angle. The footprints could just be out of sight. The rest of me knew, the way you know when someone is standing just behind you, that if I got up and went to the glass, it would be a mistake. So I did nothing. I lay there and watched the half-formed shape until my eyes burned and my thoughts frayed, until at some point they dissolved into whatever thin, brittle thing passes for sleep when you're scared and exhausted. In the morning, the snowman was complete again. Same smooth body, same lean toward the window, same almost my face, but a little more detailed this time, the grooves and ridges sharper, like it had had all night to memorize me. I laughed when I saw it. I couldn't help it. It was either laugh or scream. "Okay," I said hoarsely. "Okay, you win." I'm officially freaked out. My reflection in the glass, overlaid with the snowman's face, looked wild-eyed. I called in sick to work. What was I going to say? "Hey, I can't make it in today. My seasonal depression has manifested as an externalized snow effigy?" I made coffee. With shaking hands, I paced the apartment. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the snowman and told myself, "You are having a break. This is what a break looks like. People have them all the time. You will get help. You will get meds. You will sleep. This will stop." The snowman stared back, smiling. By noon, I'd convinced myself to go outside. Not for long, just long enough to prove I could. I put on boots and a coat and walked around to the side of the building where the window was. It was worse from that angle. From my apartment, it was a face in close-up. Out here, it was a full body pressed up against the wall, as close as physics would allow without passing through it. There was a subtle bulge where the middle section met the bricks, like the snow had flowed into the cracks of the old mortar and frozen there. It really did look like it had grown from the white ground instead of being built. I circled it at a cautious distance. From the side, the resemblance to me was uncanny. The posture was right, the angle of the neck, the slight forward lean, like it was listening at the glass. On the back where no one from inside the building could see, there were marks. Finger marks, long, vertical grooves where hands had pressed in, sculpting. They went deep, almost all the way to the core. The snow was dense and clean, not the usual city gray. No dirt, no leaves, no gravel, just white. I reached out, very carefully, and touched one of the grooves. The snow burned, not with cold, with that weird, almost electric sting you get when you touch something you know you shouldn't, like the edge of an open socket or a live animal's teeth. I jerked back. My fingerprint remained in the snow, a crisp little dent overlaying the longer marks. The snowman's smile seemed to deepen. I scrubbed my hand on my jeans, breath coming too fast, and backed away. I should have left then. New apartment, new city, new country, whatever. Just gone. Instead, I went upstairs. What else was I supposed to do? This is the part I keep circling back to when I replay it. There was no single moment where I chose wrong. It was 1,000 tiny non-choices. 1,000 times I told myself, tomorrow, tomorrow I'll do something. That night, I dreamed I was outside looking in. I was standing where the snowman stood, pressed up against the brick, face inches from the cold glass. My body was heavy and segmented, clumsy. I couldn't move my arms. I couldn't turn away. Inside, my bedroom was warm and soft. I watched myself sleeping, my real body curled on its side, one hand flung out, mouth slightly open. My dream self, the snow self, leaned in. The glass thinned, the way dreams do, like breath on a mirror. I could feel the warmth from inside, the pull of it. I woke up with my hand against the window, bare skin on freezing glass. The snowman's face stared back at me from inches away, too close, closer than it should have been. The glass should have been cold enough to sting, but my palm felt numb, like I'd been holding it there for a long time. I snatched it back. My skin was pale, imprinted with faint outlines of frost. Outside, just for a second, I thought I saw my own handprint in the snowman's cheek. Then the sun broke through the clouds, and glare washed out the details. I stopped sleeping in the bedroom after that. The couch became my nest, blankets, pillows, my phone clutched like a talisman. The snowman was still there, just around the corner. But if I couldn't see it from where I lay, I could almost pretend it wasn't. Almost. Nights blurred. Days, too. I started losing time in little chunks. I'd look up and realize an hour had passed, and I didn't remember what I'd been doing. Once I found myself standing in the hallway, halfway between the living room and the bedroom, with no memory of getting up from the couch. Once I woke up with the bedroom door open, I had no memory of opening it. Every morning, the snowman looked more like me. The features sharpened. The bone structure, if you can call it that, became more defined in snow. The hollows where eyes should be began to look like they had depth, like if you stared long enough, you'd see something moving at the bottom. One morning, there was something new. A scarf, my scarf, wrapped around the snowman's neck in a loose loop, ends hanging just so. I hadn't worn it in days. I found the empty space on the hook by the door where it should have been. The snowman grinned at me through the glass, my scarf snug against its frozen throat. I laughed. I cried. I didn't open the window again. I locked it. I shoved a chair under the handle like I was afraid the snowman was going to just slide through. You can't barricade yourself against weather. It gets in anyway. It seeped into my thoughts, into my dreams, into the shape of my days. A week before Christmas, I video called my mother. I don't know why. Guilt, maybe? Obligation? The ghost of tradition. Her tree glowed in the background, tasteful and symmetrical. She wore a red sweater with a little embroidered reindeer. "You look tired," she said immediately. "Yeah," I said. "Work's been a lot." I didn't tell her about the snowman. How do you even begin that conversation? "Hey, Mom, I think seasonal depression has grown a body and is standing outside my window wearing my clothes." She asked about my plans. I lied, said I might drop by a friend's place Christmas Eve. She looked relieved. The same argument we'd been circling for years, about me coming home, about the holidays being for family, stayed mercifully dormant this time. For a second, I thought, maybe it's going to be okay. Then she said, "You know, you look just like you did when you were little, and you wanted to go play in the snow, but you were too scared to go outside." And to say, I stared at her. "I was never scared of the snow," I said. She frowned. "Sure you were. You'd stand at the window for ages, staring at the yard. Your dad would say, 'What's wrong with them?' And I'd say, 'They're just shy.' And you'd say," she faltered. Her gaze shifted. For a split second, she wasn't looking at me through the screen. She was looking slightly to the side, like there was someone standing just off camera. Her lips parted. In a tone of voice I knew better than my own heartbeat, she said, "Home looks good on you. Don't run off before we finish unpacking." My stomach lurched. "Mom," I said sharply. She blinked, shook her head once, like shivering off a chill. "Sorry," she said. What? What did you just say? I whispered. I asked if you were listening, she said. You're zoning out. I stared at the little digital version of her face, at the tree behind her, at the blank space where someone would stand if they were in the room, just out of frame. I have to go, I said. I hung up before she could answer. After that, I stopped pretending this was just about snow. It was about reflection, repetition, something learning me by heart, learning my angles, my habits, my roots. Every time someone slipped, parroted a phrase they shouldn't know, looked at me with borrowed recognition, it felt like another line of code being written, another iteration, another refinement. The snowman wasn't just mimicking my face, it was calibrating. You know how some apps ask you to tilt your head, blink, smile, so they can map your features? It felt like that. Like the whole world was a scanner, and I was the model. And outside my window, in the cold, something was printing the results in white. Which brings us to now, Christmas Eve. The snow has piled up against the building in soft drifts. Somewhere up the street, kids are shouting, their voices muffled and distant, excited and normal in a way I can't remember ever feeling. My apartment is a nest of blankets and empty mugs and the blue glow of my laptop screen. The bedroom door is open. I didn't open it. I keep telling myself it must have been me, that I got up without remembering, that my hand did what it's done 1,000 times out of habit. The air from the hallway is colder. I can see the edge of the window from here, the corner of the frame. If I lean just a little to the left, I can see. No, I'm not looking. That's what started this. That first morning, that first long stare at something I should have dismissed, ignored, laughed off. I fed it attention, and it grew. So I'm not feeding it anymore. I'm sitting here instead, talking to you, whoever you are, whenever you are. If this file survives, or if someone finds it on a hard drive years from now and uploads it to some forum about unsolved weird shit, hi, I'm the one who had a snowman outside their window. I'm the one who watched it learn their face. I'm the one who waited too long to leave. I can hear the radiator ticking. I can hear my own breath. Underneath that, very faint, I can hear something else. A soft, granular sound, like snow being packed, like hands shaping cold into form. There's a part of me that wants to go look. Of course there is. That's the part that got me into this. Curiosity wearing a rational mask. The part that said, it's just a prank, and you're tired, and you're overreacting, long after the evidence stacked up like snowdrifts. If I go look now, I know what I'll see. I'll see my own face in the glass, not as a reflection, but from the other side. I'll see it smiling with a familiarity that no mirror has ever given me. I'll see how much more detailed it is tonight, how finely carved. Maybe it won't just be my face anymore. Maybe it will be my hands, too. Maybe I'll see fingers this time, pressed against the inside of the snow, reaching, ready. You're probably waiting for instructions. Horror stories like this always have them, right? The rule, the trick, the cursed chain warning. If X happens, do Y. I don't have one. I don't know how to stop something that learned how to be me by watching. I don't know how to outrun something that doesn't move, not in any way I can see, and yet keeps getting closer. I don't know how to fight something that might just be my brain folding in on itself under the weight of December, or might be an old, cold thing that lives in white spaces and needs a shape to wear. All I know is this: if you wake up one winter morning and there's a snowman outside your window you didn't build, don't look at it. If you do look, don't look long enough to notice the tilt of the head. If you notice the tilt, don't stay in that apartment. Don't tell yourself it's nothing. Don't give it nights to study you. Don't lie there in the dark while it leans in and presses its not face to the glass and learns what you look like when you're most yourself. Because eventually, it won't need the glass anymore. Eventually, it won't need the snow. Eventually, it'll know you well enough to find other ways in. A voice on the phone, a phrase in your mother's mouth, your own hand, reaching for a window in the middle of the night. I think that's what it wants. Not to drag me outside, to let itself inside. The sound in the hallway is louder now, like something heavy and soft is shifting its weight, readjusting. Like something is standing just on the other side of the bedroom door, waiting for me to get curious enough to check. I'm not going to. I'm going to sit here until my laptop battery dies, until my voice gives out, until the night runs out of hours. I'm going to leave this file open, unsent, unfinished, because the only way I can imagine this ending is with someone finding it while they're cleaning out this apartment after I'm gone. Maybe they'll move in. Maybe, on their first morning here, they'll roll over in bed and see white through the glass. Maybe they'll think, I don't remember building that. Maybe they'll go closer. Maybe they'll look at the face. If that's you, if that's someday you, future you, whoever you, please, don't stay long enough for it to learn you. Don't give it nights. Don't give it winters. Don't give it time. It only needs one of us. And I think it's almost finished.